Give me an idea what you think the players were thinking on the field last night, Chris.
Well, I mean, having played a long time and having seen big collisions and having seen guys immobilized and being put on backboards and stretchers and, ambulances coming on the field, that's relatively a regular occurrence for an NFL player. I mean, just this weekend, I saw two of my former teammates hurt pretty bad. I saw Josh Sweat, leave on a cart with a head and neck injury. I saw Nick Foles writhing on the ground in pain. And, it's never easy, but it's like another level seeing somebody get CPR on the field. And I don't care who you are. If you've seen somebody getting their chest pumped in person, it is something you never forget. And it's very hard to go back to doing whatever you were doing that day or that night, even if you didn't know the person. Now imagine it's basically, one of your family members, during the season. I think Ryan Clark pointed this out last night. You spend more time with these guys than you do your family. And watching Tre'Davious White cry and Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen with his hands clasped over his face, I couldn't possibly imagine. This is unprecedented. And, I really feel for his teammates. And I feel for everybody that had to see it. Rich, you never played ball, but you just said it. It's the scariest thing you've ever seen. And I also think it's been interesting to see the outpouring of humanity and well wishes and people pulling for this kid. I can't remember the last time everybody waited with bated breath on the status of somebody who's an athlete overnight. I mean, I went to bed and I don't know the kid, but I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm checking my phone. And, first thing in the morning, I'm checking my phone and I'm refreshing all day. And I thought I'd be able to go on with my day, but I'm just sitting around. I sat in bed until 10 a.m. It's one of those things that it touches everybody, whether you played the game or whether you're just watching. And I can only hope that, people remember this feeling, as we gratuitously kind of drag players when their performance isn't great, or we trivialize an injury, or these guys are ultimately not only risking their livelihoods, but they're playing a game that's going to, we all know it could end your life quicker than had you not played it in the long run. But when you see it in person, and as somebody who had, my mom would take the red eye to our games, go to my brother's game in Oregon and go red eye to St. Louis, and just my parents and everything. I talked to them while Damar was on the field, and I just thought about having to ride to the hospital with your son, and he's not breathing on his own. I just hope that all this humanity, we remember this, and we treat each other better, because, if we just, all the wonderful things this kid did, it's being highlighted. There are so many good men in this league. We don't have to wait until somebody's in an ambulance to celebrate each other and the things that we do, and really just love each other. And I think that's been the only silver lining here, is that, no matter who your favorite team is, you stop what you're doing. And I don't mean to give people a cookie for being decent, but we have it in us,
Here, man. Here on everything you just said. And, first thing my wife said to me this morning when I got out of bed, because she knew I'd already probably looked at my phone, she says to me, how's the kid? Is what she said. Yeah. And so, because we're all that, waiting with bated breath, as you point out. And it's fascinating, Chris, that you mentioned you and your brother and your mom and your dad, because I literally thought of you guys last night, because I'll never forget interviewing your dad one year at the Hall of Fame. And I think the Bears and the Rams were slated to play each other, or the Bears and whichever team you were on at the time were slated to play each other. And I said to your dad, I'm like, hey, You know, are you and your wife going to go to that game like the Mannings and, you know, wear one jersey of one kid and another jersey of the other kid? And your dad said to me, you know, quite the opposite. Like, our hearts are going to be in our throats because I know every snap's a car crash in the NFL.
Yeah.
Is what he said. And I swear to you, Chris, I thought of that last night when this was happening.
Yeah.
And of you and your family.
And, you know, Pops called me, and I think it's like an unspoken thing. Like, as soon as I saw the phone ring, I'm like, okay, we're thinking about how we would react in this situation. And it's unfathomable. But, you know, this is a dangerous game. We all sign up to play it. You know, I think this is a freak thing. This hasn't happened before. I don't think we should stop playing football in the long run. I don't think, you know, I don't think we need to think about who's going to play this weekend or when they're going to reschedule this game. Like, I don't care. You know, and I don't think the players care either. You know, with everything that happened at Virginia this fall, and those three young men being murdered, you know, those kids were given a choice whether they were going to play their game against Virginia Tech. And that's a whole different type of tragedy. Certainly I'm not drawing a close parallel, but, you know, these players are human, and, you know, those guys voted not to play the game. And I completely respect that. And my thoughts turn to, you know, the Bills and the Bengals, and it just seems so trivial, even considering, you know, when the game's going to be rescheduled and if it's rescheduled at all. And, you know, there are a lot of real issues that the NFL has to work through, but I don't think until you know the status of Damar that you can make any of those decisions. And I don't envy that task.